What is up, Shark Nation? So this week is coming to you guys live from Greystone Studios. I'm here with my co-host Conor Duggan. So Mark isn't on site today. He's actually got stuck in Photo Wildlife Park down in Cork. He's down there with my sister and their kids and all that type of stuff on vacation. And because of social distancing, their kind of time slot got push back and stuff like that. So we had Conor Duggan, our guest today, lined up. So we thought we'd honor that commitment and have a chat with Conor. So first of all, Conor, welcome to the SharkPod.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll do my best to replace Mark now and do a bit of talking to kind of make it as fun as possible for both of us, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've just met a couple of minutes ago, but I think there's a real chemistry here. So we're going to kind of keep that going here. So just to give some context to the people listening, Conor has just launched from a series of businesses that we're going to talk about. He seems like it's a serial entrepreneur. Me and Conor went to the same kind of IT college as well, so that's how I got that connection. But Conor has just launched a new business called Wine in a Box, and I thought the first thing I thought when I saw this is a great idea. I got to get him on the podcast. So that's kind of what was the thing that brought me to you there, Conor.
Slight correction: box of wine. Box of wine. You know, we might even the word's just in the wrong direction, but yeah, box of wine. That's the nice and simple name that you've managed to mess up in the first 10 seconds. No, I'm joking.
No, it's okay. It's not the first time I've got something wrong on the SharkPod for sure. Okay, so box of wine. So me and Mark Baker, we on this podcast we talked about business ideas. We talk about the types of businesses that we want to get into. And back in the day, when I was in IDT, I had this business idea that was a complete flop. And I think it was just before its time, or it was not a good idea. It's one of the others. It was called executivesockclub.com.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Conor, I see you're a little bit confused, or you're a little bit concerned here about where
I think I know where this is going, actually. I think I've seen similar businesses now popping up, but yeah, go for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, you know when you get a new pair of socks and you put it on and you feel like a millionaire walking around?
Oh, yeah.
So, you're on cloud nine.
Best feeling ever.
So I was going to set up a subscription business where we would send a new pair of socks to people, not every day, but like a 30 pack or whatever. So people can just use them once and throw them out. Not very good for the environment, perhaps, but I actually got the idea from a guy that I knew who was really, a kind of well-off guy, done well for himself. And he told me that he only ever uses socks once. And I'm like, there's got to be a lot of the people like this, So long story short, it didn't work out. But I think it was just before its time. That was probably 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, subscription model is kind of, it's an interesting model that's kind of coming into, fruition with the likes of Netflix and stuff like that, Amazon Prime, like all these kind of, subscription models. But it's interesting to take those kind of, techie ones and then using it in, socks, my case, wine, it's an interesting one to try, basically encourage people to try something new in a different industry of subscription. So we're kind of excited to see what the Irish population is going to think about a subscription based only kind of project. So
I think it's so interesting. But let's kind of cast the kind of clock back here. So we went to IDT in Dunleary. So that's like I said, our connection there. How did you find that experience? Or was that something that you'd recommend?
I'm a firm believer that learning in business, you kind of just need to jump in the deep end and learn as you go. I'm not really the business plan type of guy, it works for tons of people and I'm not discounting it. It's just my approach is just kind of jumping in the deep end. And IDT kind of, I think, allowed me to grow up a bit. I got to have fun. I got I learned a bit, but the main, the best part about it definitely was kind of growing up and a bit more. And then also, the connections you make in college are kind of, shape a lot of both in terms of business and, your personal life. So I'd highly recommend just doing the college thing for the fun sake of it. But I think jumping in the deep end is always the best way to learn and kind of grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's an interesting one because a lot of people that went to so we did, for the people that don't know, we did like kind of business entrepreneurship was kind of the title over there. And you'd be surprised. I was really surprised at the end of the 4 years how little amount of people actually went and started their own business. That was kind of what we had been planning to do and training to do, and then a lot of people kind of took the safe route, myself included. So
yeah, like it is it's a big leap jumping into business. Like only a couple of guys at my course actually have gone and set up businesses. I'm one of a select few, and like some people have set up businesses, failed, and then they've gone into the corporate world, and then others are doing amazing. Flying Elephant, I don't know if you've seen them doing the work from home desks. I was in college with Max Fox, and he is like absolutely killing it with his business partner Michael. They are like the epitome of entrepreneur. They just pivot anytime they see opportunity. They can, sell sand to the Arabs type of thing. They're just, can't recommend those guys highly enough.
Yeah, that's really interesting because just to give you a little bit more context for the listeners, I'm kind of probably 4 or 5 years. I'm 31. Yeah, so 4 years or so. Further down the line from IDT than you, and I've seen it kind of start to come full circle. So it's like even the people that went off and to do their corporate gigs afterwards are kind of, there's a lot more little businesses popping up out of those people. So maybe it was like a seed that was planted during that time, and then they just need to kind of even grow up a little bit more in those corporate environments.
Well, like it's like an itch that like you just need to scratch. Like some people just like can't get rid of it, and it's always at the back of their mind. And like at our type of age, like I'm always just like, go for it. Like you have nothing to lose. Like I don't need like to like mass amounts of money. Like I prefer to just keep trying new ideas and trying new things because it's so much fun.
Yeah. And so the first business that you started after college, CMD Foods. Dessert delivery for...
Yeah, so it was trading as Devilicious Desserts. We were up in Stillorgan there, and
but you had a location.
Yeah, we had a shop up in like proper takeaway, and we're doing like deep fried Mars bars and kind of all these mad stuff for like like attracting a lot of stoners, But nice. That was a really difficult one. Like, oh my god, the amount of hours that goes into a dessert takeaway, and the margins are just so thin. So. Yeah, that was a definite learning curve. That like we location for that type of business, I think, is the most important thing. We thought like kind of affluent Stillorgan area is the perfect place for it, and in fact there wasn't that much uptake at all. People weren't really interested in the idea in the area, and also we set up during the boom of like healthiness, like everyone's going to the gym, and we were like, I still think we can convince people to eat like deep fried Mars bars for £2 delivered to their house. And like we got a few customers, people really enjoyed the product. We thought we were doing it well, but definitely didn't catch on like we hoped,
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like it's, like I said, maybe the average order size would be quite small. So you have to hit a lot of people every single day.
Yeah, you need a lot of orders, and then like it's also a learning curve with dealing with customers. You get a lot of bad customers. Like we got real bad dump of snow like during one of the services, and we kept the shop open delivering, and people were still ringing up going, "Where's my order? It's being 20 minutes late." I'm like, "It's snowing outside. Look outside your window. We're stuck like driving up the mountains to deliver people food," because we kept expanding our delivery area to try, attract more people. But it was just it was always kind of bleeding money,
Okay. Cool. And then so that was for about 2 years though, was it, or so?
Yeah, we set that up, Simon, like at the same time as a student events business called Republic Marketing, and we kind of traded under a few different names, After Hours being the main thing, and that basically was running student events in nightclubs. We also kind of ran some we tried to do like a Debs show event, and just kind of anything to do with students. And that was very successful. So we were doing really well, and that kind of was that we were taking money from that to use for Devilicious, and just try keep that alive, because we were so, you know, like it was our baby, you know, we'd worked so hard. And that was another lesson learned. You should, like, if the business can't stand on its own 2 feet, you got to cut ties, you know, no matter how emotional you are about it. Because that actually was like then the downfall of like our events business, essentially, because we were taking money from that to pay for this, and then we're taking our eye off the ball on the events business, and then it kind of, you know, it gets messy when you don't have all your time and focus in one thing. So yeah, it was a definite learning curve again.
Absolutely. The events business is interesting. We had Jamie White on the
yeah, no, Jamie well, he's a good guy. He mentored us a lot, you know, just telling us what, like, we go and ask him kind of, oh, what do you think about this? And he was just like, he kept telling us, stick to the events, like, you're doing well at it, just focus on that. And we were so young and, you know, ignorant, and he'd made, you know, a ton of mistakes and like a ton of successes in the industry, so we were mad to not kind of listen to him, you know, wholeheartedly, and just you go with his advice. But again, learning curves.
I remember being probably, I'm going to say 18, but probably like 16 or 17, and trying to get into nightclubs or something like that, you know. And I had my friend, Chris Doyle's passport, who I don't look like anything like that guy. He's, you know, we're not the same at all, but I was trying to get in there. And I remember like being refused by bouncers and stuff, and then being like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just going to own a nightclub in a few years. That was kind of my dream at that stage. You know?
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, I want to be the person in the, you know, in the booth, you know, that everyone knows that's the owning guy, you know, the kind of ego thing. So was that what's driving you as well? Was it for the money, but also because it's a fun industry to be in when you're young, or?
Yeah, like, it is fun, but like, yeah, the hours kind of like, they do get to you. Like, you're up at like up till 4 a.m. and then we had to get up early morning to, you know, like run the other daytime business, you know, and we were doing some social media marketing as well for other businesses. We were kind of tapping in anywhere that we had experienced and that we thought we were qualified to do, and stuff like that. Like, I actually, you brought up the what idea you're using. I remember I used when we were like 16, 17, I found a girl's ID. Her name was Lauren Elaine Murphy. So if she's listening, I had your ID. I cut her photo out, put mine in, and away we went. And the bouncers would be like, your name's Lauren, and I go, it's Laurent. It's French.
Okay. It's like a seamless excuse there. I like it. And did it work the odd time? I'd say they just waited.
It worked completely every time. I don't think I was ever refused on it. Eventually, I lost the ID some night, and I'd say it was shipped back to her house, and she had this gobshite on the front of it. Yeah, me there sitting there with a grin on my face, you know. But thanks to her, I was you know, getting into nightclubs with ease, you know.
And this is probably just before your time, because it was probably, like, you've been a bit younger than me, but one of the big things was when I was 16, 17, was that the UK, someone in the UK was making fake IDs for like universities, and I had a university of like Nottingham ID as well. And they're like,
I love that. Yeah, you Google it and like it just doesn't exist probably. Like,
and I remember a bouncer asking me like, what shire is Nottingham in? And I had no idea. Nottinghamshire was the answer. I looked it up later. Anyway, it's a trick question. Okay, cool. So after that, you guys kind of shut that up. Did you go kind of traveling or something? Was there a little bit of a gap, or did you go straight into your next business after the kind of the food, the event?
We also, Simon, like at the same time as both of those, we bought a barber booking app, the franchise from
Slikr.
Slikr barber app, yeah. So it was basically a queuing app. So you could put yourself in the queue before you get to the barber shop. So like it was basically to help all walk-in barbers. Like nowadays, like all your listeners that go to, you know, male barbershops or whatever probably use Reserva. They book in time slots, 30 minutes, but there was no system out there for walk-in barbers to kind of help them. So we bought this app that we thought was brilliant. But It was a difficult one, yeah. We sold it well. Like I was basically the one selling it, and I was going around showing all these barbers. They all loved the idea, but then when it actually went into the shop, the barbers weren't using it. They weren't happy to change the way they were. Like we just thought, oh, this app is perfect for everyone. It's going to work perfectly. Like we were like counting the millions, before we had even got made our first euro. And it was one of these things where we were hoping society was ready, and society definitely was not ready. Especially like Ireland, we're quite a stubborn nation for certain, aspects of our lives. And that's kind of what we were, testing the waters. But it definitely didn't work. We got it into about 10 or 12 barbers, but they like graft and barber and stuff, and then it got quickly ripped out after a few days in the shops, just messing up their whole day.
How did you even find, how did you come across this? Were you actively looking for something, or was there sometimes, I know I see these websites where there's you can go out and find like a franchise type thing. How did you come across it?
We actually we came up with the concept in our heads, just going like, this is really annoying. Like we were going to Grafton barbers and stuff like that, this kind of pre-cut and sew maybe and stuff like that. They were just kind of kicking off. So we were kind of going after, we were looking to build something, and then we actually just came across them, and we were like, why are we building this? So we actually asked the owner, Dwayne Thompson. He's a lovely Australian dude. And we asked him for advice, and he was basically just like, guys, I've spent, a few $100,000 building this. Like, why build it when you can just take it off me and use it for the Ireland and UK? So he flew over from all the way from Australia, met us, and kind of gave us a crash course on how to sell this tech into barbers. And then we were doing that with the nights and and the desserts as well. So we're kind of doing everything
at the same time.
Yeah, it was like we didn't sleep a lot. It was 4 hours of sleep every night type of thing, and 70, 80 hour work weeks, but it was fun. Learn a lot.
And was he doing really well in Australia in that market? Was that a successful business for him?
Like in terms of profit, probably not. But in terms of rolling the product out, the Australians were very receptive to the idea, and he was getting a lot of traction on his end. So we were like, they've tested the waters, it works. It's going for him. It has to work for Ireland, surely. But we're not like our Australian brothers.
It's very interesting to see if something works somewhere and it doesn't. Maybe, I don't know, like I said, maybe there's a bit of stubbornness there, or maybe you guys are too early. I'm not sure about that one. But I like the idea of, I guess you do need, maybe not for this one in particular, but a lot of those franchise businesses, you do need a few bob to get going. I remember again when I was just starting out, when I was, I think, 16 or 17, I was born in Canada, so I spent a lot of time there. And I loved going to Subway, and they had just come into Europe at that stage.
Okay.
And they just opened
I love Subway.
And they just opened their first one in Ireland. And I was really lucky into, rolling that out over maybe Ireland and the UK. That was kind of another little dream that I had at some stage. Then I looked into the math, and you needed like 200K to fit out.
Shop, yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, well,
I need 20 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Quickly, it became very expensive. So I didn't go down that road. But I do think if you do have a little bit of capital and you don't have too much creativity, it might be the better way to do it, like that guy was saying, and maybe.
Oh yeah, I think we actually spent about 20 grand, doing getting the franchise and rolling it out and stuff. And yeah, in terms of that, if it had worked, it would have been the best investment ever. But because we were going to get €1 per booking, and the numbers of people going into a barbershop would be 500 people a week or whatever for certain really busy barbers. So it quickly adds up to be quite once the system's in place, it's just seamless, just like the booking systems. They are very profitable businesses, and relatively what's the word? Yeah, relatively risk-free once they're rolled out, I
love that. It's almost anytime you can take a little slice of a transaction it's a great business to be in.
The service industry, like it's like Stripe and all these companies, Shopify, you know, like they all just take these little tiny cuts, but like it adds up to so much money at the end of the day. Yeah.
I worked in a startup that was trying to be the Canadian Stripe back in the day.
Cool.
We were in Vancouver. I was there for a couple of years, and the so basically it was this payment software. So we used to take a little tiny fraction off all of these transactions, and you would be like appalled by the amount that adds up to if you have like a couple of big customers. So for instance, we'd build up like a book of business, all the salespeople. So every month we'd get a residual check. It was just the best. It was the best setup ever. And so I had Uline. Uline, they're like a logistics company. They do like a trucking company in Canada and all over America, but I just had the Canada branch. And so every time, so we had this big screen in the office, and every time they made a transaction via credit card, I'd get a little piece that every time they did anything in Canada. It was amazing. Like I think it might be like $100,000 or something, right? The transaction, and I'd get like, I don't know, like $327 or something. Do you know that kind of way? And that's happening all the time.
How did that company turn out then?
So we over leveraged, I would say, in my opinion. Maybe that's not true, but they raised, I think, 13 million first when I was there, and it was great. We went out and we bought all the bean bags. We got all of the good stuff. We have a lot of swag.
Proper tech company setup, yeah.
And our CEO was really kind of an eccentric guy. Like people had mixed feelings about him, but I really got on really well with him, and we did good business together. Eventually, that was sold to this is an interesting thing anyway, because the CEO wanted to sell it to a marijuana banking system in Canada.
What even is a marijuana banking system?
So Conor, think about this, right? In Canada, it's illegal. Marijuana was illegal, or basically in most places. But individual cities have their individual police there. So Vancouver police versus the Royal Mountie police outside of Vancouver. So all of those kind of major cities, they said they're not going to enforce marijuana laws. So that's why in Vancouver you can go into a medical dispensary and get whatever you want, right? Because it was illegal, but the police won't enforce that law. So it's kind of like a loophole. So, but our bank, who was like underwriting all of our transactions, they didn't want anything to do with drugs. So that's a whole other podcast that we go into about how I had like dispensaries that I was working with as well for the software and all that type of stuff. But we had to kind of like make sure that they look like doctors, all this type of stuff. But but everyone was doing it. Even the banks were doing it. They didn't care anymore. My CEO wanted to sell us to like a bank that does marijuana payments. A very risky bank. But anyway, all the board directors try to force him out, all that type of stuff. Anyway, in the end, he was right. It became legal all over Canada, and they sold out to that bank. And I think he's in his Range Rover or something now. I haven't heard from him in a while, so I think he's doing just fine. But anyway, so that was kind of the end of that story. But really interesting story, yeah. We love that kind of business where we can take a little slice of something in the middle. We talked about that many times. So let me let's before we jump into the wine business, because it's really interesting to me. I think that there could be the market for this is going to be absolutely huge. But you went to work for Salesforce. You know, I compete with Salesforce every day, so I know them very well. But what was that experience like? I've never worked there, but
it was really good. Like the people are amazing. Like just so kind and like it's a real fun kind of working environment. It kind of does put you into this false sense of or for me anyway, like I was looking for something short term, and like I wanted to like go back to being an entrepreneur, and that's why I only I was only there for 6 months. But it was making me, it was so comfortable, and like the job was relatively easy as a sales development representative for me anyway, in comparison to my previous life as an entrepreneur previous to that, like I found it pretty easy. You know, I was in the top 15%. I was always hitting over 125% of my number. And yeah, like I thought it was really fun, but like I'm glad I got out when I did, because you know, I think if I kept staying, and if I moved up to the next level, you get quite comfortable, and the money is so good in these tech companies that it does trick a lot of people into staying long term, you know, and that might not otherwise have wanted to do so, you know, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Like, because I'm working in that environment right now, and the longer you stay in like, I'm not talking about my own situation, but a lot of people that I know in some tech companies that have worked there, maybe they wanted to work there just before they went traveling or something, but then they got RSUs, which is the restricted stock units that kind of drip into your portfolio every month. And then it's really difficult to leave, because, you know, you're like, well, if I stay here for 4 years, I'll have this much. And I would never save that, you know, if I was doing something else. But it does take away a little bit from those people who want to be creative, get out there and start their own business, because it can be very, very cushy. And that's part of their scheme as well, because they know that a lot of the people that are in these companies, like I'm sure, like I said, I've never worked in Salesforce, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in Salesforce that are incredibly talented, and if they just honed that sales skill on their own business, there's
hundreds of them. Like the Salesforce full of these amazing people. Like some of my colleagues, I was in awe of. I was like, these people could go off and set up something brilliant. And like I was always like, why not? Like, why he's not doing it? And yeah, look, it's not for everyone. Like, definitely isn't. Like, I think, you know, you question it yourself a lot of the time when there's not a lot of money in your bank account, and you're working these crazy hours and you're not getting a paycheck. You do question it. You're like, am I the insane person here that's doing this, or should I just go off and do it? But like, yeah, it's just a part of me, I guess. I'm a bit weird, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, there's a few others like me, you know.
Absolutely. I also think that I think the risk is overstated. Not so much in the money part of that, but you said you're 27. Like you're still young. You could do whatever you wanted for 10 years, and then go in to a company at like sales director, and then you can get all of the stock units and stuff. Then there's no like,
yeah, exactly. Like, well, I think the main thing is just like freedom. It's just like, I don't want, you know, you saw like LinkedIn and we're laying off like 1,000 people globally or whatever. Like, I would hate for something to be so out of control, out of my own hands. Like, I want to be in charge of my own destiny, whether that's you know, if I earned 20 grand for the rest of my life, I'd be happy as long as I'm working for myself, you know. Like, obviously I have dreams and aspirations to grow something huge and big and be like, for something to be real proud of. But the main thing is just freedom and not having to rely on someone else. I can just go out and do my own thing and survive every day, you know. But like, if someone just switches, you've done nothing wrong, and then you're out of a company. And like, what if you have kids? What if you have a job? That sort of pressure would get to me, you know.
It's also something that a lot of these times you feel, like you said, like the LinkedIn people, you feel really secure. You might feel like in a very privileged position where you're in one of these tech companies, you're getting your lunches paid for. There's you know, all these perks of doing that. But if they decide to stop paying you, that's the end of that. I know you can go somewhere else, but if you stop working, that's the end. And I was talking to somebody who was coming up to retirement kind of age, late 50s, you know, someone that I know. And he has a business, and I was saying to him, okay, so are you going to sell the business when you retire? And he said something to me very interesting that I never really thought about in all my years. Like, I knew people did this, but I didn't really think about it so much. He said he's never going to sell his business because it makes really good money. So he just owns it, and he's going to retire. And every year he just takes a big dividend out. Like, the people are going to continue to work there. I'm like, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think a lot, like we're in this realm of everyone's just building companies to try and sell them for the quick, this quick buck type of thing. And it's such a sad mentality. Like, that's why, like, I think you'll fail if you go into a business and all you are thinking about is the paycheck and walking away to go live on a deserted island. Like, I just think it's mad. Like, enjoying the process is so much fun. Like, I just think, the mentality of startup mode at the moment is scary. I think people need to kind of get a reality check and stop trying to build $1 billion company. Just build something you have fun with,
Absolutely. So we were talking, when we were in lockdown, we had a business idea cast that we just talked for 2 hours, me and Mark, about different ideas that we could do. And those of the ideas were real ideas that you like, just kind of like modernizing the paint and decorating business. Do you know what I mean? We could start that and just have a really cool website, loads of good content, sell leads that you were like over, like say if you were overbooked, you could kind of bring in your partners to do it. There's loads of little things that you could take from like what they do in software and just kind of apply it to other things. And
definitely, like that's the best. Like, best businesses are founded by just linking one section like of a business and then ramming it into the other one.
Absolutely. So let's kind of get down to the venture that's going on right now. So last month you launched this business. So is it going to be what's maybe describe it for the listeners just so they can understand exactly what the business is about?
Yeah, of course. So it's Box of Wine. So it is a wine subscription company where we curate a box of wine based on someone's taste profiles. So they would go on boxofwine.ie, they fill in a short 30-second quiz that kind of generic kind of questions like what foods they eat and stuff like that. And then we're able to get a quick snapshot of their taste. It's kind of like going into an off license and going, I like this type of thing. Can you recommend something? So we basically are sending them some wines. They get asked to review them each month. And then that allows us to keep working on their flavor profiles to try get the best wines. And none of the wines are available in supermarkets. They're boutique wines that you get in a restaurant. So it's not kind of boring off the shelf wine that you'd see every day. And so we send 3 bottles. We're adding 6 bottle options onto the website soon, and they come with tasting note cards. So I have one here actually. They get to learn from the comfort of their own home. So it's kind of, a quirky subscription model where every month you just get this little present of, bottles of happiness sent right to your door, and you get to learn as well,
Absolutely. I love this idea because right now, maybe not so much right now, but over the last few months, I don't know about our listeners, but when the package comes from Amazon, I'm so excited. I forget what I've ordered almost. Like I just got a box. Thank God something came, broke up the working from home monotony, So
absolutely. I think it's a present. Like every time you get it, it fills you with a bit of like giddy, like Christmas,
And what's the story? Is it going to be just an Irish thing? Are you going to go UK? What's the plan for that?
The main dream is definitely United Kingdom. We can't, I looked at the marketplace in Ireland and the UK, and I wasn't happy with the subscription services on show. Like the subscription wine isn't a new concept. I'm not recreating the wheel, but what we're trying to do is add to it in the Irish and the UK market eventually. Because these companies exist and they're massive in the States and stuff. Wincy or Wincy, I don't even know how to pronounce it. They turn over 200 million a year, and they're doing pretty much exactly what we're doing. So the main aim is to grow this in Ireland for the time being. We might have to raise some capital and then expand into the UK. Yeah,
it's interesting. So, and when you're doing this, are you targeting people who are maybe buying these as gifts for people, or is it going to be more people who just love wine who want to learn more about that?
The gift element, we've been open about 5 days now or something, and the gift element is massive. People really want to buy it, and we've already seen tons of people buying it as presents. So what we want to do is definitely build out the gift element a lot, and we're going to work on the like just trying to get new subscribers to subscribe to the wine that generally like they might not know a lot about wine, but they want to learn a bit, because like I definitely wasn't like, you know, a massive wine connoisseur. I've been drinking my whole life, you know, well, since 18 or whatever, and I really enjoy it. But I think it is quite daunting, you know, going into an off license and like you're letting your guard down, like, because it's an industry that's full of, you know, a lot of snobs and people kind of belittle other people that for not knowing a lot about wine. It's so like, get over it. It's very childish. So we want to disrupt the industry a bit and kind of add to it by allowing people to learn from the comfort of their own home, you know?
Absolutely. And I think the way things are going, I just heard today that the pubs aren't opening again. So I think people will be drinking a lot more at home.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, we're creatures of habit. I can't, like, COVID, like, as sad as it sounds, could be a good thing for a box of wine, because a lot of people are gonna, you know, get used to just having a dinner party at home, having a few drinks, a few glasses of wine, and they won't be prepared to go back to pubs on a regular basis. I think the industry is going to be massively damaged for the pubs, and then a lot of drinking at home. So, you know, hopefully we can kind of, you know, capitalize on a bad situation, but you know, bring a bit of joy to people's lives as well, you know.
100%. I think you're right about the pub scene. Like, a few of my friends have said like they haven't really missed it that much, especially people who aren't really into maybe going to watch like I know, watching football and stuff like that. And a pub gives you a little bit of atmosphere, stuff like that. But most people are saying, you know, it's not something that they're hugely missing. I remember during the lockdown as well, a lot of people were just like in town in Marion Square with like their, you know, cup of wine, you know, kicking around a football, and it was kind of. It's kind of nice going into like a really dark pub to do the same thing. So I found that really interesting as well. Okay, so one of the things when I think about this type of business, I think people don't recognize how many moving parts are going to be behind this. You've got are you warehousing this wine? Are you hand picking it right now and packing it at the beginning, kind of proof of concept?
Oh yeah, like we're definitely startup mode. You know, there's 3 of us involved. I'm obviously the founder, and I asked 2 of my friends who are wine kind of connoisseurs to come on board, because I needed someone with the, you know, that buys wine for businesses, that knows the industry, has the suppliers, has connections, and also knows a ton about wine, and like is really like passionate about it. And so we're kind of, you know, just like when the orders come in, we look through the person's quiz. We have a big selection of wine. We have some great Irish suppliers that are being real good to us, you know, giving 45 days credit and stuff to a startup is nice. Kind of amazing, like, especially but mainly because it's tough times. They want, you know, anyone selling. They like the concept, so we're basically, we just, you know, pick the wine as it comes in and get the boxes done, and then we have a delivery partner, DPD, who are kind of shipping nationwide, and then if there's, you know, orders that we want to get out quickly, like we jump in the car, we get to the customer like that's, you know, in town, and just get them their wine as quick as possible, you know, just so they can have a bit of fun, you know.
And so when you're launching this type of business, this is what I think as well, where you build a website and all that type of stuff. You're telling people about it. Obviously, you're trying to promote it as much as you can, friends and family, and like obviously through the podcast, people will hear about this as well. But when you first started, are you a little bit like, okay, we've launched it, and then you just clicking refresh to see if there's any orders in it? What's the kind of
like it is. There's just so much to do always. So it's like the main thing we're doing, you know, when there's breaks between no orders coming in is we're just like working on the concept and trying to build out, and nothing's ever perfect when you launch, ever. So the main thing is just constantly striving for perfection. And I don't think, like, with my personality type, I know I'll never probably hit it. So that's kind of what drives you every day, going, we need to add this to the website, we need to add this, let's hopefully have put a bit of cash aside to, you know, do some you know, general maintenance on the website, where we can add certain features that we're not capable of building out ourselves, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so many. I just think there's so much possibilities here. Like even in Ireland, it's a vastly changed landscape. Even when I was, I guess when I was growing up, wine was getting more popular, but not like now. Everyone's drinking wine. Like I prefer wine than, and I wouldn't be probably your kind of buyer persona, some kind of like 30-year-old guy, but
Yeah, we're kind of going after 26 to 40-year-olds, and we're kind of seeing an array of people purchasing it, mainly female, which we kind of expected. We thought that women would kind of grow to this concept a bit quicker than men, but
they have more exposure as well. They've got a lot of those kind of like makeup boxes or those monthly.
Yeah, but they're also more open to new quirky. I think people like Irish like men a lot of the time are very skeptical of what's like this is completely different, and they're not willing to try something new as quickly sometimes. So like we have a big long journey ahead of us of trying to convince Irish consumers that a subscription model for wine makes sense. Like it does make sense in other countries. They operate very well. And it's just about giving people good value. Like the boxes we're giving like good quality wine. This isn't a scam. Like we're so passionate about the product, and like we're hoping the kind of customers see that through our branding. Like we're happy with what we've kind of put out now, but we're always going to just be striving for perfection.
I think it's an opportunity there for people like me as well. So I don't drink a huge amount. But sometimes if I'm doing my weekly shop, I feel kind of bad going over to the wine section and adding some wine to the trolley. I don't know what it's like, almost like a stigma about that. I'm like I can get wine any other time, but like during when I'm shopping, it's not like it shouldn't be a grocery good that I'm getting. So there's a little bit of self-shame there. So maybe this is like it's more of an event when it's sent to you. It's kind of like you're part of a club rather than.
Exactly. Like that's what we want to like it to be treated like a box of wine club, and like allowing people to review the wines and tell us what they think, and kind of where we'll eventually grow out a community, type of buzz, where people can interact with each other and like we have, tons of stuff planned for Instagram, like live and just talking people through wines and kind of fun elements like that and quizzes and stuff. Just trying to keep it lighthearted because we don't want to come across as these wine snobs, because we definitely aren't that. We want this to be a really inclusive type of feeling, because wine should be, and especially wine's a kind of a more, you drink it more responsibly than going out and getting the nagging just to get pissed. So like
100%. Like I can't remember the last time I like drank wine like before and like going to a club or something. It's not really the same vibe as, like I said, the old nagging of vodka or shoulder as it was back in my day as well. Anyway, okay, so I feel like there's going to be a really big idea. There's lots and lots of possibilities here. I'm even like I love these types of ideas where there's all these different avenues that you can go down. Yeah. It's definitely going to be online, but even I'm thinking, stuff, like what about setting up like a stall in a shopping center around Christmas and just signing people up there? Like so many, like there's angles here,
Yeah, we're actually planning a kind of a speakeasy-esque wine tasting type of thing. That box of wine, like I don't know the name yet, but Box of Wine does a speakeasy, and people come knock on this door. We have a location in Bray, and it would allow people to come in and just try wines and that kind of cool vibes off that, to try promote the brand a bit more, and just because it's fun, I think people would really enjoy that type of thing,
And is there any, so is wine a little bit different than other alcohol? Is there is it just, do they sign up and say we're over 18 or this is a gift or something like that and it's fine, or do you guys have to jump through some hoops for sending wine to people? It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, like we do ask everyone's date of birth, so it's one of those things like in theory, like you can scam anything that's when it's online delivery, but wine isn't like really an avenue where young people are trying to abuse, so we're kind of lucky in that regard. But yeah, it's definitely something that we have to stay wary of, making sure that everyone is 18 plus, because obviously we don't want to be doing anything dodgy,
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I think just a lot of room to gallop here, which is great. Like you said, it's kind of like something that people have been selling wine for thousands of years. So
Yeah.
we know that there's a market for it. There's 100% people are going to be drinking wine. We just have to make sure that it's going to be wine that we sold them. That's the
exactly. Yeah. It's an education process of kind of just, every customer needs to kind of be explained the concept. And we're definitely not like, we're getting, lots of views on the website, lots of people filling in quizzes, and then not everyone's purchasing. So like, where do we improve? And it's a constant like trial error. So we're always kind of trying to stay on top of that.
Cool. Okay, well, best of luck with the new business. I think it's going to be a smash hit. We're at 45 minutes now. This is the time where Mark Baker usually kind of chimes in with his lightning round. He also has a list of questions in front of him, but I'm going to go from memory from doing the 30-odd podcasts that we've done before. So I'm going to ask you maybe like 3 or 4 questions. They're going to be quick fire, but they don't have to be quick fire answers. Whatever you think yourself. We've got some really interesting answers out of this. So what's the app that you use the most?
Does WhatsApp count?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
WhatsApp and Instagram, we're obviously selling the product mainly through kind of Instagram, so that's like what I'm spending so much time on it, trying to grow our following and stuff. So yeah,
okay.
I'd say definitely WhatsApp, and like you run your business through WhatsApp these days, messaging everyone. That's
amazing. Like so I do a lot of work. One of my partners is out in the Middle East, and in like Saudi Arabia, they don't let you use WhatsApp. It's blocked because that's a big industry there. Is like the telecom thing. It's really expensive, so they just said no, we're not going to do that because everyone else is just call. Actually, do you ever get a call now from like a hard line or like a mobile?
Yeah. I look at the numbers and I'm like, what is this? Like,
yeah, exactly. I was in my mother-in-law's house the other day, and the house phone called, and I was like, I haven't heard one of those in years. I'm like, who's calling?
Landline here?
Yeah, let's go. But anyway, okay. So what scares you? What are you afraid of?
Spiders. Yeah, spiders and failing. Spiders and failing. I like everything. Just like I need to keep succeeding or make a success. So that just keeps me up at night a bit. But it's definitely failing and spiders.
Something that we've come across a lot on the podcast, the failing thing. I mean, Mark, I was kind of come back to this thing where only the wins are going to be counted at the end of the day. Like, keeping it brave.
No one cares about the failures. No one does.
Keeping it in bray for a minute. Katie Taylor. No one introduces her as Olympic loser, Katie Taylor. Ever. So it's always a gold medalist, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But the last question, what advice would you give the 18-year-old Conor? If you could sit him down, if you could go back in time and say, listen, sit down, take this.
Patience and do what you love. Like a lot of my previous ones, like my main passions are the food and drinks industry. Like I want to be in this industry for the rest of my life. Like food and drink just excites me so much to like talk about, enjoy. I think it's a great way to spend time with friends and family, and I don't think it's going to change that much. We're going to see changes in how it's consumed, like we're doing now. We're thinking people are going to drink more wine at home, but I definitely be like, go straight into what you actually enjoy. Don't try to just like do ideas that you think will be successful, because why bother? It's not fun.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's young Conor told off there. So thanks very much for that. So we're gonna wrap it up there for today. Conor, thank you so much for jumping on this podcast. I know it was kind of short notice. We really wanted to get your take on the new business. I can't wish you enough luck with this. I think it's going to be a huge hit, like I said. I will be watching from the sidelines on the SharkPod, and we wish you all the best of luck, like I said. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much. And yeah, thanks to hopefully some of your listeners will, think the idea is good. So I'll set up a discount code, Shark10, for 10% off first order for your listeners. So.
Okay, guys, you've heard it here first. That's going to be in the show notes as well, and we'll drive some traffic if we can.
Yeah, brilliant.
And but I think it's going to be great. So thanks very much.
Thanks so much. Honestly, it was great chatting with you.
All right. And I'll stop it.